begin. Welcome back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. In a week in wrestling, well, when we say in a week in wrestling, doesn't a lot happen. We've had releases, we've had call-ups, we've had WWE resetting the system in more ways than one. In TNA, we have seen Darby Allin's first defense and a subsequent challenger for next week. MJF has got a championship in mind, but it's not the World Championship. Which we'll get into. And is Will Ospreay about to turn into a Death Rider, or could he be about to be betrayed by a familiar friend of his? In TNA, Mike Santana hits 100 days as world champion, but is his future in TNA about to come to an end? And how good was his match against Rich Swann? And finally, speaking of TV deals, NWA get a new TV deal. We'll talk about all that and a whole lot more with our good friends who are sitting currently number 2 in the podcast prediction league. It is Eric. It is Chris from the Junkies pod. Gentlemen, I'll say good afternoon to you, but good evening from me.
Hello.
Hello, hello,
It's
hello.
a pleasure to be here.
It's great to have you both here, guys. And I said, number 2, guys. Eric, you're number 2 in the podcast prediction league, just behind me. But a really good, really good start so far. And we've got another one coming up in a couple of weeks in Backlash.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun to do over the last couple of months. It's nice to add some stakes to our predictions. I mean, we kind of go back and forth on our show about damn near everything. So it is nice to kind of have to come together and sit down and actually pick. And so far, so good. So I'm liking the success here.
Very much
Yeah,
so.
let's be honest. It was me picking. Let's be honest here. You can give credit to me. I'm really good at that.
Indeed. Well, numbers 1 and 2, we'll find out if we're still numbers 1 and 2 after Backlash in a couple of weeks. Chris, this week has been a real kind of reset and refresh from the WWE. We've seen a lot of new feuds reigniting a little bit in WWE. Some are just starting. We'll get into that. But of course, after coming off of WrestleMania, the general thing that happens in WWE over the years has been releases and call-ups. No difference this year. Probably though, Chris, I would say not the best day to do it. The same day that you announced that Ari Emanuel banked $67 million this year and Mark Sharapano banked $42 million this year.
Yeah, not the greatest PR move, I would say. Interesting day to do it, but this is what we usually see at this time of the year anyway. I think the names are just a little bit bigger than they have been in the past, but we see this every year. We can get mad at TKO, we can get mad at WWE, but it's just kind of doing business. They just picked the wrong day to announce it when you have so much money. Oh, we made, what was it, $5 billion last year kind of thing. And look, at the end of the day, this is going to happen. When you have all these call-ups, like, you got to make room for them. And unfortunately, I think the big one was Kairi Sane, who was currently in a storyline and now gone. So I don't know what the backlash is going to be on that. The other ones like Malachi and Selena, like, okay, like, they weren't really doing much of anything. The Wyatt Six has kind of run its course. I don't know what they would have done next, and I don't know. I don't know. It sucks. It always sucks is when they get released. But the great thing is there is an AEW, there is an NWA. The indies are on fire. You can make a ton of money everywhere you go. So if they want to continue to do it, go out and do it. Pull a Drew McIntyre, pull a Matt Cardona. Like, you can go out there, remake yourself, and come back again, especially for the like the LFG talents and some of the NXT talents that got released too. As far as the other ones, like, this is Malachi's second run. This was Kairi Sane's second run. So maybe it's thanks, but you're going to have to go do something else now.
Yeah, potentially. There's a lot of names on that list. I mean, Alba Fire, for me, being English, her being Scottish. I know her as Kaylee Ray, and she's going to set the world on fire wherever she ends up. That is without a shadow of a doubt. But Eric, just running through quickly. Obviously, Motor City Machine Guns. That's you could kind of see an AEW or a TNA return in there. Zoe Stark was a bit of an unfortunate one through injury. Obviously, Andre Chase from NXT, Apollo Crews, Santos Escobar. I could name all this. I could name
Yeah.
more. I've got the whole list here, Eric. But was there anyone? Did when they get announced, and I don't like playing. Oh, they should go here, and they should go there. But when certain names get released, Eric, did you instantly go TNA, AEW?
I did. I had this conversation with my brother on Friday, and we're kind of tracking the releases and reacting in real time to them. And I did a lot of the same thing. I think that Black and Zelina, I don't see why Tony Khan would not re-sign them again, especially as a package act.
Mhm.
When they're given the creative freedom, it works. I mean, I loved it. I mean, you're never going to have any better on screen chemistry, excuse me, than with your own significant other. And I think that that's something they were really not getting a chance to really dive into. And I think we've only just barely scratched the surface with that. Machine Guns, I think either AEW or TNA. I think TNA would love to have them back in the fold, especially when you see what the Righteous are doing with the Hardys right now and just that tag team division as a whole, and sending them back there or going back there for another run. It also keeps them affiliated with WWE, which is also always helpful. In the meantime, Kaylee Ray, like you said, she's got the world at her feet at this point. She wants to go to AEW. That women's division could use her, but I would love to see her pull a Matt Cardona or a Shotzi and just go run the indies for a while. I mean, we're talking about Super Strong Style 16, men's and women's coming up in about a week's time now. Seeing how that's going to affect the women's division in progress, I mean, there's no reason that she can't go back there and have some fun with people. Zoe Stark, that's another, I think she'd be a really good fit for TNA as well. She's somebody that never really got the chance to unleash her full potential either. The knee injury also, which is very unfortunate. But I mean, ultimately, everybody wins here, because again, indies are on fire. TNA, NWA, AEW. There's so many places to work now that my hope is that everybody that is outraged over the releases continues to support these people even after, because it is very easy to be surprised in the moment and upset and not see them on your TV every week. But are you going to go follow them if they go do an MLW or a GCW or Action Wrestling? I mean, you name it. Like it's hopefully that support remains the same.
Yeah, definitely so. We'll see what happens with those. And as you say, MLW was one on my head as well. I was thinking about MLW quite a bit because they're in a signing acquisition mode themselves. But look, we'll talk about the call ups now. And Eric, again, I'll come to you first. Look, Ricky Saints, Blake Monroe, Fatal Influence, Joe Hendry, Ethan Page, Sol Ruka, all called up to the main roster. Do you think they're all on the right brands? Was there any of them that you would switch on that?
No, I wouldn't trade a thing. I'll start with Ethan Page. I mean,
Hmm.
that dude will be world champion in 2027. I think just the way that he carries himself, his character work is phenomenal. I mean, if you want him to be entitled and prickish, he can do that. I'd love to see what he does, as far as the comedy side with Danhausen and putting them back together. But Ethan Page is the real deal. I mean, he has been since he signed with NXT. Just kind of, you see, you saw what he was doing in AEW, but
Hmm.
you always felt like that there was more that he could be doing. And I think this is the right fit for him. Coming in and saying, "Hey, I want the Intercontinental Championship." I mean, especially because we're seeing Rusev still wanting the title. We've seen
Yeah.
JD McDonough, Javon Evans. Adding Ethan Page to the mix, I think is phenomenal for the Red brand. Fatal Influence, the heat that they have already is nuclear. I didn't think that that was possible for them as they got called up. I like that they all three got called up, and it wasn't
Yeah.
just we'll send JC and then leave Fallon and Laney Reed. And this is really good for Laney Reed because she's only been on the signed with WWE for about 2 years now. So to go from NXT to main roster in 2 years, that's no small feat. But the way that they have gotten themselves involved with Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, and Rhea Ripley already from the jump. Same thing with Sol Ruka mixing it up with Liv Morgan. I think that everybody is exactly where they should be right now. And yeah, it's just going to be a really exciting time. The youth movement is here. So I hope that they continue to take advantage of it. And I can't see what everybody, I can't wait to see what everybody does next.
Yeah, it should be really, really good and exciting to see. Chris, were you a bit surprised Kendall Gray didn't get a call up? Or do you think it may be too early and they've still got to leave people there to build that brand around at least for until the next calendar year or so?
Yeah, I think that's what it is, right? You can't just completely gut NXT. They took the established ones. Kendall Gray will have her time. I'm not worried about Kendall Gray at all. I want to see her in NXT a little bit longer, mix it up down there, kind of get over a little bit more. But yeah, when you take this much talent from NXT, you got to leave something on there, right? So the one I'm a little worried about is Ricky Saints. They advertised him to be on there next week. I would have liked maybe a backstage segment with him, something like that. I'm a little worried because he's not going to come in right away and be in the world title picture, right? He's probably slotted in the mid card at first, and he's going up against Trick Williams, and Trick Williams is over like crazy. So I don't think he's going to beat Trick Williams. I think maybe if you would have flip flopped Ethan Page and Ricky Saints, I think that might have been a little bit better. Trick Williams and Ethan Page have a little bit more history that they can play off of, and Ricky Saints I think would have done very well in the IC division with a Penta, with some of the high flyers that they got over there in that division currently. So for me, I probably would have switched those two, but we talked about it on our show, Stand and Deliver. It felt like you have this many names on the card and we weren't excited for it.
Yeah.
Pull the Band-Aid off, get everybody that needs to go on the main roster, put them on the main roster. Like, just go for it. We're ready for the youth movement. We say youth movement, and Ethan Page is not a youth, but we're ready for the youth movement, right? Like, so do it. Get the mass exodus. Now with NXT, you have LFG, you have Evolve, you have TNA, you have AAA. Like, you have plenty of supplement talent to fill the void while you continue to establish that next wave. But I think we are all really, really hungry for that youth movement and new faces and new feuds and new people.
Speaking of new faces, I want to throw a name in there that he's in TNA at the minute, Eric, and he's in a contract year. He will be celebrating a milestone next month. He will be soon to be the longest reigning X Division champion in TNA history. Is it pretty much a given though that at the end of that run, barring the fact that he's already been on WWE TV many times, that Leon Slater is very much going to be highly coveted by the WWE, and we could see him very much in that NXT fold by maybe December, January of next year?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, they've been super high on him basically since this TNA partnership began. I mean, they've flown him over, to the UK to do overseas tours on, SmackDown and bringing them in the fold there. They'd be crazy not to sign him. He's high flying, he's electric, he's just fun to watch. I think you could even take it a step further if they really wanted to take him and send him right to the main roster. I think he's a name that would do very well, doing that as well. Because we're looking at Javon Evans, and I said this on our show last week that for as talented as Javon Evans is, he's 21 years old. He's going to continue to grow into his frame. He's going to continue to develop his work rate, but the character work I think is not his strongest skill set. So I love that they're teasing Kofi Kingston potentially taking him under his wing and maybe a new kind of reformed New Day of sorts. The split from Big E and then pairing Grayson Waller with them just didn't work. But I think if you bring in a Javon Evans and perhaps a Leon Slater to be a part of that group and to sit under Kofi's learning tree of, learning great character work while also maintaining, what you do as a high flyer, I think it would be really advantageous for them to consider that jump to the main roster form right then.
Yeah, definitely. So looking forward to seeing what happens with Leon, but I think it should well be. He may well shoot straight to the main roster. We will see. But we'll get into one title picture, then we'll move off to the land of AEW. We'll get into the SmackDown title picture. Cody was on Raw and Punk was on Raw, and he was interrupted by Cody as he was finishing his line. Punk was saying, unless a world title opportunity kind of miraculously falls out the air here, Chris. And then kind of Cody, they had their little segment, and then he said it again, and Cody went anytime. And maybe people didn't see this. I don't know if WWE showed it. But there was a video of Punk walking to the back and kind of doing that, as in he's hooked Cody in. Is it too early for that to happen in Backlash? Could you see this perhaps happening at a SummerSlam? Because it's kind of a big event feel, no disrespect to Backlash. And if you don't see this happen at Backlash, who does Cody face?
Yeah, I think the issue with Cody at Backlash is hopefully he gets cleared by then, right? So that he still can't see out of that eye, and it does not look good. I think that's Punk, playing the mind games. Is that SummerSlam? I don't know. They could be building to Mania next year. We know how they like to do the long-term building, right? So one of those two will most likely be a champion by that time. Does this tease Punk trying to win the Money in the Bank? Like, oh, it doesn't fall out of the sky. Like, oh, well, maybe I got to go grab it out of the sky. Or does it tease Punk winning the Rumble? Like, I think this sets Punk up for winning a Money in the Bank, King of the Ring, Rumble, Chamber kind of opportunity, and then going after Cody, because Cody's going to want the challenge, right? Because he's the honorable champion and he wants to do it. And I think we get one last CM Punk heel run in the WWE before he rides off into the sunset. And what better person to do it with than the uber white meat babyface Cody Rhodes, who they're not going to turn heel, it doesn't look like. So give me CM Punk as a heel against Cody Rhodes. SummerSlam, I'd be down for SummerSlam. That'd be fun. I would like them to shut the door on the Randy Orton storyline.
Yeah,
please. But yeah, we talked about it on our show a little bit. I don't know how much I'm clamoring for a CM Punk Cody Rhodes feud, because I don't know if the crowd is going to buy CM Punk as a heel. But if that's the way they're going, I'm here for it. I just don't know if the crowd's going to react the way I think they want them to react to this.
Interesting. Eric, with this, obviously, look, Cody's eye does play a part in Backlash, of course, and I didn't even know if he was going to relinquish the championship. I didn't know how much of a possibility that was with the eye. It looks in a pretty bad way. With Randy, though, with Punk, if Punk is going to go for this title shot, he will probably end up having to move to SmackDown. We've seen that with Rhea Ripley this week. She obviously hopped it over to SmackDown because she's the champion. If Punk's going to have a feud with Cody, then who replaces him on Raw? Because that is a hell of a person and a hell of a baby face to lose on the Raw brand.
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. I think that moving Jacob Fatu over is a nice. I mean, obviously he's not CM Punk, but
No.
to have another over massively popular babyface that is, has kind of elevated that roster a little bit. I mean, I liked that switch as well. I think that's a good first program for Roman. But yeah, I mean, I think that that's a hard, that's not a one person sort of thing, I think, as far as replacing ACM Punk, because there are not very many people that have that magnetism that he does, especially if you need a good promo out of somebody. But the fact that, Jacob Fatu has come over to Raw, I think is certainly going to be beneficial. And then also Obafemi. I mean, that is your baby face now. I mean, we saw that reaction coming out of Monday Night Raw last week. 4 words, and he had them in the palm of his hand. I mean, I think those two are probably as close as you're going to get to replacing CM Punk. I just don't think that there's a 1-for-1 right now on the roster in that case.
No, definitely not. And we'll see what happens if Punk does indeed go SmackDown full time. We'll find out. And you said Obafemi there is a great one. Just a quick slight aside, Chris, while we're talking on the words of Obafemi, Brock Lesnar and his retirement. There's still a lot of speculation that he may still come at SummerSlam, the Gunther favor to Paul Heyman. Do you think that plays into it? Was Brock doing it to say goodbye to WrestleMania because that's his last one, and then will Gunther, Chris, pull him into a match at SummerSlam?
I think that's the storyline, right? Because they're not 100% committing on it. Even Heyman said something, they're not. Even the video package that they put together on Raw kind of felt not a WWE package. I think they're setting it up because Gunther's going to go, hey, I did you the favor. Now you need to do my favor. Get Brock out of retirement so I can beat him at SummerSlam kind of thing. And so I can retire him. So I think that's the storyline they're playing for sure. And I could see it like, hey, Oba retired me. Like, I can't do this anymore. We get like a disheveled Brock Lesnar, someone who's doubting himself, and we get some vignettes of Paul Heyman bringing the beast out, getting that out of him for one more match against Gunther, because Gunther will just not stop bothering Heyman, kind of thing. So I think that's going to be the case, because you can't have heel Lesnar and heel Gunther. I think you're going to have a babyface Lesnar in Minnesota. So
definitely,
that's the story they're going to play.
Yeah, that would be an interesting one to see. I would be looking forward to the match. I don't know if it's going to have the longevity that it would. I'd like to have for that type of match, but we'll see what happens. Right, we're going to cross over to the realm of All Elite Wrestling now, Eric, and look, Darby Allin winning the World Championship last week. First defense this week against Ciampa was absolutely incredible. But straight away, we've seen now his next opponent is this coming Wednesday. It's, of course, Brody King. Can't see Darby losing next Wednesday. But how refreshing has it been for you in AEW to see that not only a champion that isn't, what I would class as your Omegas, your MJFs, your Adam Pages, and also it's great that there's also seeming to be a lot of kind of missiles going for his back as world champion as well.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that should be any wrestling promotion, is that if you're there, you should want to go after your world champion. You should want to take that spot. Darby Allin, I mean, Chris and I, we debate this so much on our show, because we've looked at the four pillars of AEW and they have evolved significantly over the last 7 years. And I wrote this in an article I did for the Scrap last week. Darby has been one of those consistent names. People will, have the Jeff Hardy comparisons, and, podcast that'll even say, his run is not as good as Jeff Hardy's 2008. And I hear the criticisms, I hear the comparisons, but this is a nice change of pace. Darby's been a company man. I mean, name somebody else that has climbed the top of Everest and planted the company flag and stay at that spot. I mean, that's literally kind of what this is Darby has just, worked his tail off for the last 7 years and has had phenomenal matches. And this is thank you for your hard work. This isn't going to be a long title run. I don't think he needs one of those record-beating world beater, title runs, but he's going to be a gritty, scrappy champion. And we're going to see that this week against Brody King.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to it. Chris, on that note, obviously, look, I'm going to be a bit biased here because All In is right around the corner. And we're very much excited over here of getting another big stadium wrestling show at Wembley. Who is AEW World Champion going into All In August, in your opinion?
I think it's either going to be Will Ospreay or Kenny Omega. I think that's the main event for All In, is Omega Ospreay, because they want to get that one final huge run out of Kenny Omega. Nothing against Darby Allin, but you're going into the biggest show of the year. I don't think Darby Allin is that main key player that sells that show to everybody, right? Like Eric said, it was kind of a reward for, hey, you've done crazy stuff. You have done amazing stuff. Thank you for everything that you've done. I don't think this will be a long title run. This will probably be his only world title run. But if I'm booking it and I'm trying to get the most out of this, I think you do Kenny Omega versus Ospreay one last time. Ospreay finally gets that title in Wembley, and I think that is like just icing on the cake ending for a great show.
I mean, they've already sold 23,000 tickets at this point without even, well, I haven't announced the match yet, which is great. It's a good thing. And I think as we get closer, we'll get to that match. But Chris, on a side note of that, MJF did come out on Dynamite this week, cut a promo, and was interrupted by Kevin Knight, of all people. And obviously, they've had their little bit of a to-do before this. Was you surprised, though, that MJF may be hinting at a TNT championship run? Or is that something you could actually see happening in AEW?
I could see him doing it. I am a little surprised he didn't, go back for the world championship. Like, we haven't seen a rematch. Nothing looks like it's on the horizon as far as a rematch because of how that main event went a couple weeks ago, how quick it was and how kind of out of the blue it was announced, and he wasn't ready and he's still going online and saying stuff. And it's a little weird that he's not going back for that title. I think they're going to let Darby do some things. MJF in the mid card division is not well, I guess the mid card division. AEW has so many titles. I don't know what technically their mid card division is, but I could see it because he's gonna put people over. I think MJF is very good at that. And if they truly believe in somebody like a Kevin Knight, what better person to put him over and establish him as, hey, like this guy's gonna be something than MJF. I mean, because MJF's gonna be great on the mic and then have a great match with him. And let's be honest, Kevin Knight still needs to grow a little bit on the mic. So they're going to throw him on the deep end with MJF and say, let's see if you can swim. Like, let's see what you got kind of thing. Because they did this a while ago with Ricky Starks, if you remember, with Winter's Coming when MJF was the world champion. And I think they thought they had something with Ricky Starks. That obviously didn't go the way they wanted it to. But if they truly feel like this guy is something in Kevin Knight, then let's see him with MJF. Throw him in there with the big guys and let's see what happens.
Yeah, it could be an interesting matchup for sure. In ring, it would be great. I think MJF will definitely shade the promo battle should they have one. But Eric, for you, does Darby Allin's run end at Double or Nothing pretty much this time next month?
I think it's certainly possible. I mean, Osprey Omega, that's too good of a match to pass up. I would imagine that Osprey will find himself in the Owen Hart tournament again, potentially to make his way back to Wembley Stadium. But yeah, like I like this. This is a refreshing change of pace to have Darby as champion because MJF has damn near beaten everybody at some point, across all of his title reigns. That there's not really a fresh match here that I would want to see. So, Podcast Ed, thinks that Kevin Knight's going to get the win on Wednesday. I don't. I think MJF takes that TNT title for a while, and still continues that elevation of that division by having great matches with people. But this is a good way to use MJF to keep the world title picture from getting stale. And Darby can work. He's got Brady King this week. Phenomenal match against Ciampa last week. Just let him have some video game style matches with just clashes of styles and sizes. And yeah, this doesn't need to be a super lengthy, all time great world title run. Darby's a triple crown champion. That's that already puts him in rarefied air in AEW.
Definitely so. Eric, to continue on that, we've spoken about Will Ospreay, and obviously that this cast week, to be honest, I've kind of felt when I've been watching a Will Ospreay match recently that there's been just too much focusing on every time he seems to get dropped on his neck that the match kind of ends, and I'm getting a little bit tired of that already. I must admit, because like you're cleared to wrestle, my friend, so you wouldn't be cleared otherwise. So let's just get on with being the Will Ospreay that we know and love. Maybe people disagree with that or agree with that. I don't know. But Eric, look, he gets kidnapped this week, for want of a better phrase, pretty much after the doctor stopped his match with Mark Davis. And then this week on Collision, Moxley sort of sitting there basically saying he wanted to bring out the killer again in Will Ospreay, which did prompt a response from Callum Newman to say, oh, he's going to leave us again, like obviously, like I suppose he did with the United Empire into coming into AEW. So have we already set in your opinion, then Mox at Double or Nothing? Perhaps Callum Newman costs him that match, and then we go to Forbidden Door in June with Ospreay and Callum Newman, maybe main event, or at least higher up the card of a match at Forbidden Door.
Yeah, no, I think that that's certainly possible, and I like this story that they're telling with Osprey as far as the kidnapping and trying to bring that fight out of him. And I agree with you as far as the injury selling. Like, again, you're cleared to wrestle, so like I could see it for the first couple of matches if you're targeting that neck, you're targeting the shoulder, and all of that. But eventually, as time goes on, you kind of you're not focusing on that from a story standpoint. But I also feel like there has been this, as far as the story they're telling here. Osprey looks great coming back, and he's certainly gritting through the injury, and that's what they're telling. But it almost feels like there is kind of a spark that's missing from his eyes. As excited as he is to be back in the ring, and as incredible as the matches are, I mean, anytime you put Will Ospreay on your card, it's going to be a great match. But I feel like they're telling this story that there's just something missing about him, just that killer instinct, that X factor that we know that he has. He's not bringing that back out of himself now that he's been back from injury. And I feel I like that dynamic that they're telling with Mox here. I think there's a lot of meat left on that bone with that story. and I'm never going to say no to another one-on-one match with him.
Definitely not. Chris, with that, do you pretty much see, pretty much as I said just now, do you pretty much see this going to be a way of us getting to Newman and Osprey at Forbidden Door?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're going to play the Kyle Fletcher story as
Mhm.
well that they did with Osprey, right? Like again, I think they have something in Newman, so go for it. I agree with you too about the injury angle. It's wearing a little thin. Like he was gone for 9 months, 8 9 months.
Mm.
Okay, he was hurt. He came back. He got the surgeries. He's hurt. Now he's back. Like let's keep doing this. Like if it's hard for me to suspend my disbelief sometimes when he's getting hurt every week, and it's like, okay, then who's going to step in and tell him to stop? Right? Like, is that the storyline they're trying to play? Like, I don't know. Back to the main question. Yeah, I think that's what it leads to at Forbidden Door, and maybe that is the start of that killer instinct for Osprey to go. Yeah, I am the best in the world. Like, I don't care who's in front of me. If it's someone that I like, someone that I dislike, my main goal is to get that world title, and that's how we get to that all in, trajectory of what he wants to be. That'd be a great match. Like Eric said, like every Will Osprey match that we watch is fantastic. But I'd be fine with that story because it seems like we're kind of in a holding pattern until we can get him back in that world title scene.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hopefully not too long to go, and we won't have to worry about neck injuries and whatnot going forward much longer with any luck. But from there to TNA, and it's just a quick one on this, Eric. Look, Mike Santana, 100 days as TNA champion today. Anyone that hasn't seen his match against Rich Swann on Impact needs to go and check. I mean, I thought Impact had quite a lot of great matches this week, and that one was one of them. How do you assess his 100 days as TNA champion, though, Eric? You're on mute.
First time today. First time today. But yeah, no, I love everything that they're doing with him. The underdog story that they've told with Mike Santana, and the way that he's worked through personal problems and gotten himself back on track and at the top of the mountain. I mean, it's really really cool to see. WWE, that's another name I think that they're likely going to go after this year. If they're not thinking about it, I think that they should. Because I mean, he's another guy that doesn't really need a run in NXT because he's already done the invasion angle stuff,
Yeah.
through TNA. That he's a recognizable name that you can bring up to the main roster immediately, and he brings something different to the table as far as not necessarily being a traditional luchador. Like he is his own unique personality. It's not necessarily somebody under a mask. And there's just there a relatability that is hard to not like about Mike Santana. So love what he's doing as champion right now. He's hoping for another 100 more days and keep killing it because he's probably going to be offered a WWE contract by the end of the year, if I had to say.
Yeah, definitely. So I've read, I think it was Fightful, Chris, that may have said this. Summertime was Mike
Yeah.
Santana's potential contract, which, given Bound for Glory, sorry, not Bound for Glory, given Slammiversary is in June, is that where you could perhaps foresee him dropping that championship? And if so, to whom?
Yeah, that's a good question. To who? I don't know. I don't know which way TNA wants to go. Do they want to, go the Nick Nemeth route? Do they want to go? Do they want to start their own youth movement kind of thing? Like, I'm not 100% sure what they want to do. I will say this title run much better than the first title run.
Yeah.
I think they kind of messed that one up a little bit because I think we were all itching for Mike Santana to win, and then him to lose it that quickly was kind of like,
Yeah.
okay, like I get what you're trying to do, but also we just want to see Mike Santana as the champion because he's earned it. I would say WWE bound for sure. I think he will go to NXT. That's just my opinion because I think they want people to come in and learn the WWE style of being on their television. Even though he is on TV and he has been on TV, I think because they did the same. I mean, every time an AEW, wrestler comes in, they're usually right to AEW or NXT, right? So they want to learn that WWE style, like cameras are here, entrance here, like get everything fine tuned right before they get to the main roster. But it's been a great run. It's been the run that we wanted. It's what we needed in TNA, like to establish that championship again. That's been kind of flip-flopped here and there a few times, but if I'm TNA, I'm putting it on Leon Slater. Like, that's what I would do. Have him be the dual champion for now, and then when his contract comes up later in the year, like, then you can get to where you need to go then. But why not strike while the iron's hot with Leon Slater and just go for it?
Well, he's got option C. Why he's got the championship, he does have that option.
Mm-hmm.
And if what they could do quite simply is get him to. They're going to want him to break Austin Aries' record. That's going to be given. They're going to want him to break that. So that's going to happen, and then he may cash that in at Slammiversary, pick up the
Yeah.
championship there. Great send off from Mike Santana. Maybe Santana get a rematch. I'm not sure how that will work. And then he will go, and he's going to pull out some crazy shit at lockdown in
Oh yeah.
August. That's near enough a given off the top of that cage. Are you kidding me? The 6:30 is going to be well, wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of it, but it's going to happen.
No.
And then, as you say, end of the year, so maybe Bound for Glory time. That then
Mm-hmm.
switches. But we was talking just then, Eric. Though we were saying about the new face of NXT. Well, Mike Santana fits that mold perfectly.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, like we've said, they have just kind of done the mass exodus, but because of the relationship they have with the AAA, TNA, Pro Wrestling Noah, if we want to still consider them, kind of a working partnership, having a guy like Mike Santana come in to kind of anchor that men's division, to work this alongside a Jackson Drake or I still have hope for Josh Briggs. We're looking at the potential splitting of Dark State, Deion Lennox maybe
Mhm.
breaking off on his own. Keanu Carver also. I mean, I think that he would do some great work with him there. Yeah, I mean, at this point, like Chris has said, they've already moved up so many names. Let's just treat it like a fresh start. I mean, NXT goes through these down periods when they have these call ups. So the sooner that you can kind of mitigate the loss of that talent, the better. Mike Santana should be at the top of their list for sure.
Yeah, we will see. Not got long to wait to see if Santana will be WWE bound for sure. Shifting gears though now, Eric, NWA, and whether you guys watch it or not, I don't know. But look, NWA has once again got a new home, and it's starting this coming Friday with I think the repeat of the episode of Power that will air this coming Tuesday for the final time on Roku, and then next Saturday it will air a brand new Power episode. I believe at 4 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. UK time on Comet TV, which, if I know, was owned by Sinclair that done the Ring of Honor broadcasting. So, is that, Eric, a step in the right direction for NWA? Is it a steady direction? I don't know. So you're gonna have to forgive me from the. Is Comet a big step up from Roku, or is it a step to the side?
That's a good question. I'm not super familiar with Roku's platform, but I mean, if Comet TV is owned by Sinclair Broadcasting or has some affiliation with them, I mean, I think that can only help broaden the reach. Certainly on local basic cable networks. I think this is a huge opportunity for them. And NWA, I mean, they're one of those steady presences, since they have introduced Power starting it just on YouTube. So they, each step has been evolutionary in their history. That, yeah, I think that this is tremendous, for them, and they've got a lot of incredible names there. Carson Drake is somebody that's cut his teeth kind of in our, neighborhood in Cincinnati and kind of in that Cincinnati, Kentucky area. So seeing him, the Wall, Tyler Stevens, a friend of ours that does a lot on NWA as well. This is just another spotlight for him. So I'm super happy for him.
Carson Drake, the man with the most punchable face in wrestling. If you
Yes.
also think he's sure he looks like Ken from Scooby Doo. If you have a look at one of his shirts where he's got I mean, just his face and it's the blonde hair. But anyway, Chris, just to touch on that with Comet. Look, from an international perspective, so with NWA's global reach, this will work better because I can tell you that because from the Roku perspective, even though we've got a Roku TV, we still had to use a VPN to get to the channel that it was on, so it wasn't accessible for us. And we had to, well, actually, I say that with my VPN, I got to watch it before it aired for you guys in the States, which was great. So the only downside I think to this one globally is I'm not sure that Comet has an on-demand, so we could watch it any time, which would mean we would have to watch
Mm.
Power at 4 p.m. Eastern on a Saturday, 9 o'clock UK time on a Saturday. But is it more likely this would be a better better for them because of that global reach they'll be able to get? 'Cause we don't have to pay. We can log into Comet or just log on to Comet.com and watch NWA. So is that going to be better for them internationally in the long term?
I think it'll be better internationally. I think it'll be better statewide as well,
Mm.
because over here, like Roku is a thing, but it's one of the 6, 8, 9 streaming services that you can have, right?
Yeah.
So now with it being a little bit more local, those who can't afford the Roku or those who have a different streaming platform can now at least get this. And overall, anytime you can get more wrestling on broadcast television, it's a good thing for wrestling, period. No matter what time you can get it on. I mean, I remember back in the day watching OVW on Saturday
Yeah.
afternoons, like, because that's when it aired. So anytime you can get stuff on broadcast, I think you're good. The streaming services are just tough because I'm already paying an arm and a leg to watch everything for WWE. I'm already paying an arm and a leg to watch everything for AEW. Now I don't have to have that additional, excuse not to pay for a Roku. I can just go log into Hulu and see, oh, okay, look, NWA's on one of my channels that I already pay for now. So I don't have to add that extra expense, and that'll be good for them. Is the time slot the best in the world? Probably not. Like 9 p.m. on a Saturday for you guys, probably not the best. 4 p.m. for us, we'll catch it if we can. That's again prime college football time. There's baseball going on. Everybody, it's the weekend kind of thing.
Yeah.
They will need that like replay, I think, to continue to establish them. But I think being on broadcast television is just so big for them. You look what it's done for TNA. You look what it's done for NXT now. Like, I didn't have to go to the network. I can just go to the CW to see it, kind of thing. So I think this will help long term. Short term, they may see a little bit of a dip. But overall, this is a good thing for wrestling in general, is to have more of these companies on actual television, not just streaming platforms.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm looking forward to it. Doesn't affect me. I'll get to watch it as normal. My co-host that does NWA, Fiona, might have a bit of an issue because she actually does ring announcing of a weekend. So she may have, but she is going out to watch Crossfire in a couple of weeks. She's going to go to Cedarville over in Tennessee to go and see our good friends at Crossfire Wrestling. Just a quick bit of breaking news from Progress, because I know you guys are very like watch alongs in there. Obviously, we know that Giselle Shaw was meant to take on Billy Starks. That match is not happening. So Giselle Shaw has actually got a bye, and she will face Sky Smithson in the quarterfinals of the women's Super Strong Style.
Wow. Okay.
There you go. Just a bit of breaking news for you. Before we move on to the final discussion, and the real big one, we touched on it. The Tribal Chief was back on Raw this week, Eric. I was surprised when the Usos, and here we go, are we going back to the bloodline? And then his first challenger appeared, and that being, again, caught me off guard a bit, Eric, with Jacob Fatu coming out to confront Roman. And then obviously Roman gives him his answer tomorrow night on Raw. Was you a bit surprised with that, Pan? Was you expecting somebody else to come out? Obviously, Punk had already been on, so that was kind of a thing. Was you surprised it was Jacob at first?
Extremely. Yeah, I had no idea what was going to happen in that segment. I thought that there was a long shot that the Usos might turn heel on Roman and not want to, re-involve themselves with the bloodline again. But it sounds like, all fences have been mended. That's what families do. Extremely surprised that it was Jacob Fatu. It's more so about the timing, not necessarily that it was him. Because I mean, that win against Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania, I mean, that is the signature moment he needed to at least kind of get us a step closer towards that main event scene that he deserves to be in. I mean, you hear the reactions that he gets every single week. I mean, he's what they hoped Solo Sikoa would be, and then some. So if they're confident, just throw him right out of the gate into a match with Roman. I don't think that he wins this match, but I do see a continuation of the Bloodline saga, but with everybody as baby faces now. That story has anchored programming for the better part of the last 5 years, 6 years at this point. So to see them as baby faces is something that would be different. And then you can kind of start to test those power imbalances again and see who comes, turns heel out of that. But yeah, this is huge for Jacob Fatu. I mean, I think that he needed the shakeup from SmackDown to Raw as well. So This just says that they're invested. So I'm all the way in.
Should be a good one. Chris, though, is it slightly disappointing that we've only got 2 weeks or near enough a week now to backlash? I know the story's pretty much there and it tells itself. At least this time we won't get fucking Jelly Roll and McAfee involved and making the storyline a lot worse. But do you wish it could, I mean, could it go further than backlash, or do you think this is going to be a one and done for this particular match?
I'm a little worried that they're going to do the right hand man storyline again, where he beats Jacob. Jacob comes back, it's another, bite at the apple. And then Jacob acknowledges Roman, and we're back to the Usos, Jacob Fatu, Roman Reigns, just in the group, kind of like Solo was. I'm a little worried that we're going down that path. Ultimately, I think Roman's going to hold this title till SummerSlam.
Yeah.
I think Oba should win the King of the Ring, and that's your match at SummerSlam. So I would say Jacob Fatu not going to win, but join this group, continue to get the rub from Roman, because obviously I think they have invested a lot into Jacob Fatu, and then maybe you break it off after SummerSlam, where again the doubts creep in about, are you really the tribal chief? You just lost to Opafemi kind of thing, and maybe we get another match down the line after he has fallen in line, and then we get to see, Jacob Fatu is not one of those people that just falls in line, right? Continue to establish him as the babyface. So I could see this going backlash, and then is it Clash and Paris is the one after that?
It's
Italy, I think. Yeah.
Italy.
Mm-hmm.
So I Clash in Italy, yes. So I think those are the two matches, and then we start to move towards, everybody falling in line, Roman getting back to what he was, and then, oh shit, there's Obafemi, right? Like Oba's not doing this, what we just did for the last 4 years. He's going to step up to the plate and knock it out of the park and beat Roman at SummerSlam, so we don't have to go through another bloodline saga. But I think you want to get Jacob Fatu a little bit more comfortable in that main event scene with Roman now.
Yeah, definitely so. I'd like to see that. Last question before we wrap up, Eric. Look, a couple years ago, we were potentially looking at a Rock Roman match at WrestleMania. Obviously, it didn't end up happening. The Saudis are going to be in for a huge push because they're gonna want that. They're going to want that match. There's no doubt about it. And if WrestleMania is to go over there, obviously we know there's some issues going on around the world that may prevent it. But assuming we get to Saudi Arabia at WrestleMania 43, is the main event going to be Rock and Roman? And is it going to be as special as what it would have been had we not had it a couple of years ago when Roman was the longest reigning world champion and the real tribal chief, at that sense, or head of the table?
I said this to Chris on our show like a week and a half ago. Because you're right, I think the Saudis are going to make a huge push. It's the biggest main event you could possibly bring here. If this match does not happen next year, I never want to hear about it again. I'm going to put it firmly with Sting versus Undertaker. They've had a decade to do it, and it's just. I would hope so, and I'm sure that it has been trying to slow play it to get to this moment next year. If it does not happen next year, I don't think it happens at all.
Yeah, there we go. Chris, is that something you agree? Is it next year or not at all with Roman and Rock?
I would hope so. I mean, I think they missed the boat a couple years ago. I think they saw the issue when they tried to take it away from Cody Rhodes, and everybody was like, we don't really want to see this. And at this point, I don't really want to see it anymore either. Like, unfortunately, Rock's getting a lot of negative PR due to how much money he's making with TKO and just not being there, and some of the the luxuries he's getting of some of the reimbursements for personal use for flying, and he kind of soured the fans, I think, at WrestleMania 2 years ago when it was Travis Scott that came out. It wasn't the final boss. Like, you come in, you get Cena to turn heel, and then you're like, I don't want to put myself in the storyline. But you already did, kind of thing. Yeah. So I think there might be a little negativity with The Rock right now. I think Saudi's going to want it, right? They wanted Yokozuna for the greatest Royal Rumble. So I think they want this match. If we don't do it now, I'm with Eric. It's like Sting, Undertaker. It's like AJ Styles, Shawn Michaels. I don't want to hear about it anymore. We've passed
Save it for 2K.
We've passed it. Like, if do it this year, don't put a title on the line. Whatever. I don't just get it done. And that sucks because I think a couple years ago we were really, really wanting it, and now we're just like, if it happens, it happens.
Yeah, it'd just be for the head of the table, wouldn't it? Now it won't be for world championships or anything,
No.
or anything like that. Or yeah, as you said, save it for 2K. I would admit when I saw that picture of AJ and Shawn Michaels and it had the Rumble, there's someone done a poster.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was excited. I thought we were going to get there, and we never did, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But guys, look, we're going to wrap up the show now. But before we do, Chris, Eric, tell us all where we can find you on social media. What shows you got coming up that you can announce? I appreciate you may want to keep some hidden away for some surprises, but what have we got coming up from you guys?
Eric?
Yeah, you can find us on X and TikTok at Junkies Pod. Like us on Facebook. We're also on Instagram. But please subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's plenty of room at our table, and all we ask is that you guys just tell one person if you like what we do on our show, and I think we do a pretty good job of creating a pretty chill environment. We don't always agree on everything, but life would be a hell of a lot more boring if we did. But we nonetheless have a great time. This week we will be doing a preview of Super Strong Style 16, the men's and women's brackets as well. And I have 2 articles that will be dropping for the Scrap Combat Sports site here in the States. Give them a follow at the Scrap News on X. But going to be talking a little bit about Cope and Cage and what the TNT title picture would look like with MJF in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Adam, do you have picks for Super Strong Style?
I will be biased because we shocker, we sponsored LA Taylor a few years ago. So
Okay.
I would, I can't not look at her. The men's one I'm slightly torn with, I have to say. I may have to have a look at the brackets quickly if they've been the reason why I'm not actually because obviously Super Strong Style was over 2 nights this time, and funny and say funnily or stupidly enough, I'm part of a show running on the same day as Super Strong Style, day 1, and that while I'm just trying to find a list. Why are you doing that? Go to 96 Eventbrite.
Yes.
You can go and see our. Well, if you don't want to, if you don't fancy going to see Super Strong Style for 2 nights, if you want to go and see it for 1, go on the Monday. On the Sunday, however, come to Ignite Wrestling because we've only got 5 seats available for the show, but you will see on our show. Our championship will be defended on that show. Chris Aries he won the championship at the last show because you may have seen her debut at Progress recently. Aluna, who was our champion, had to relinquish the championship. Chris Aries won it in a great match against another great up-and-comer, Isaac Blair. So those of you that don't know Isaac Blair, go check him out. So he become the first ever Grand Slam champion at Ignite. He will make his first defense against the man with a heart of a warrior, the man who's actually a tag team champion in the Brit Rest scene with Black and Gold. It'll be Denzel Mack. So Denzel Mack and Chris Aries for the Turnbuckle Championship. For the Ignite Championship, 2 people that you guys will definitely know. Well, definitely one of them. The Ignite champion Tommy Tanner will be making his first defense of that championship against CPF's Joe Lando. So it could be a one and done for Tommy Tanner in that. And of course, it wouldn't be CPF without having Danny Black, and he's also in action. He'll be in a triple threat match. And he's taken the place of Tommy Kyle, who's unfortunately taken a break from wrestling at the moment. We wish him very, very well and all the best. But yeah, it'll be Danny Black versus Corey McRae versus Jaden Williams. Aluna will return to action at Ignite as well, and that will be against Violet Knight. And finally, on that show as well, all the fallout from all of the stuff that happened backstage with Taylor James, another pro guy you see in Rev Pro, Morning Progress, sorry, and CJ Carter, the general manager. Them 2, you can never get them away from each other. We started partnering with Ignite 3 years ago. And they were in a feud 3 years ago, and it has not gone away. It's always been under the surface. Taylor James was champion. He lost it to Tommy Tanner. It all kicked off at the back. It went into the foyer with the crowd last time. It was just not a very nice place to be in February. Hopefully, them two are facing off because CJ Carter's retired. So them two are facing off this coming Sunday. I don't know what the hell is going to happen on there. And these Rebellion friends are going to be in tag team action against the EM0 as well. So get your tickets for that. Also coming up on my show this week, the interview, our TNA exclusive interview with Victoria Crawford, will air on Tuesday and and recording on Wednesday. I will say, so when this will go out, I don't know, but recording on Wednesday. I mentioned her a minute ago. AEW and Ring of Honor star Billy Starks will be coming to Z Show, and you can follow us at HTT Buckle everywhere, guys. I will send you my men's pick for the Super Strong Style. I'll have a look. I'll go through it with a fine comb. I'll send you ahead of your show this week. But Eric, Chris, it's been great talking to you. It's finally good to actually collaborate with you guys. I know we've been talking for a while, so it's been great to have you both on. I don't hope you win the podcast prediction league. I have to say, I hope that stays here with me for now. But look, and we'll get your picks for Backlash coming up. But big thanks for coming on the show, guys.
No, thank
Pleasure.
you.
Thank you for having us.
Guys, make sure you're following the Junkies Pod as well at junkiespod.x. Follow us, HTT Buckle everywhere. We'll be back this week with, pretty much everything. I'll put it out on social media, what's dropping this week. All the review shows, plus the interviews will be dropping. So until next time, everybody, from the Junkies Podcast, you've been watching the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. Buckle down, stay safe, and good night.